Welcome. My name is Fred Sandoval. I'm the Executive Director for the National Latino Behavioral Health Association, NALBA for short. Thank you for joining us today for our Plática called Tenemos Voz, We Have a Voice, on Latino peer recovery. With me today is our esteemed co-host, Melissa Montano, Program Manager of the Office of Peer Recovery and Engagement. She'll be introducing herself in just a little bit, but welcome to you, Melissa. It's always good to see you, and thank you for co-hosting Pláticas. It's always a treat to have you here with us. NALBA is a nonprofit agency dedicated to the well-being of Latino individuals, families, and communities in New Mexico and across the United States. Our mission is to address the disparities and barriers affecting the behavioral health of Latinos. Today, we're excited to present our Plática series called Tenemos Voz on Latino peer recovery and the journey of hope and transformation. Platica is the Spanish word for conversation. Today, we highlight the work of our guest speaker, who we're going to introduce in just a second, Natasha Garcia, and she's going to be sharing with us about her experiences and having worked in the field of recovery, and more importantly, in the work that she's currently doing and looks forward to continuing to do as part of her own mission and efforts. NALBA would like to thank the New Mexico Human Services Department and the Office of Peer Recovery and Engagement for making this series possible. Each month through June of 2023, NALBA will host speakers directly involved in recovery to share their story, their insights, and to tell us about the resources available to help make recovery possible. So please join us every month as we present a series of conversations on how to start your road to recovery and learn about the resources that'll help you on that path. So let's get started. So it's probably great to make sure that you all get to know that with Melissa here with me today, who will be our co-host. We'd like to have her introduce herself, and then she'll say something about our guest speaker, and then I'll add a little bit to that. But Melissa, como siempre, as always, right? What I say in Spanish, I say in English. So for us bilingual speakers, we do both, ¿verdad? Want to say hello to you and go ahead and introduce yourself and say some more about Natasha, and we'll get started with the questions right after that.
Thank you, Fred. Muchísimas gracias. It's good to be here today. And hi out there, the World Wide Web, because I know that this Pláticas is awesome and folks from all over the place chime in. Natasha, welcome to Pláticas. I'm so honored to be here with you and ask you some really important questions. You're amazing. My name is Melissa Montano. I'm the Office of Peer Recovery and Engagement Program Manager. I'm a CPSW. I'm a woman in long-term recovery. I'm just, and I get to do this. I get to sit with Fred once a month, myself and Nathan. But I'm gonna let Fred talk about your bio. But before that happens, I want to just say too that you mean the world to the Office of Peer Recovery and Engagement, Natasha. You have stepped up in so many ways to help us, especially now lately. You know, you are an amazing interviewer, and you help prepare folks for our trainings. What Natasha does for us as a coordinator with Nathan is she takes time out of her day and she helps us talk to peers and listen to the peer stories and provide that safe space for them so that they can get into a very future training, amongst other things. She's always, helping us with at events, showing up for volunteer work. You know, she was a key player in the Glorieta Fires volunteer group, and we just honor you. I honor you as a woman in long-term recovery, as a Latina, and I'm excited to ask you some questions today and proceed. I do not want to take this hour. This is all about you, mujer. Senor, I think I'm done.
Oh my God! Yeah, wow, what a compliment to Natasha to hear that from yet another Latina who has not just a story to tell, but a vision that she continues to live and strive for every day. So we're very pleased to introduce Natasha Garcia, and here's what she says about herself, right? She says, I'm someone in long-term recovery from substance use disorder And she says she's spent many years in and out of the justice system. And she says, having been in recovery for the past 6 years, that includes that she had an experience with Suboxone because it saved her life. And she makes reference to the Albuquerque Center for Home and Recovery as one of the first programs that helped her with job development. So you can just see all the things that she's experiencing, right? It's part of her own recovery path. She says she's blessed to be here today and living in my truth. As the executive director for the New Mexico Women's Reentry Center, she says she wanted to build a program that will empower, inspire, and be able to, more importantly, provide women with skills and opportunities. She says she will continue to advocate for peer support, change, and to stop stigma around substance use, as well as mental health issues. She says, I'm a mother of two beautiful girls. My favorite author is Brene Brown, and she says she loves red chili. So that kind of puts it all in one nutshell, ¿verdad, Melissa? So that means that if she loves red chili, well, she's already kind of in good standing aquí. But anyway, Natasha, welcome, bienvenidos. And more importantly, we'd love you to say a little bit more about yourself and share a little bit about your journey as far as what you want the live Facebook audience to hear. So we want to invite the live Facebook audience to be able to send their questions or comments so that as we're speaking this afternoon, that we'll also share those questions with Natasha. So both between Melissa and myself. So we want to welcome you to Natasha and say a little bit more about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today. This is great. So yes, you've shared a lot. It's been a long journey, and I am somebody in long-term recovery from substance use. That was my thing. I grew up here in Albuquerque and Burque, North Valley. Parents, hardworking family. I lost a brother at a young age, and by the time I was already in high school, it was just I started experimenting from a young age. So it went from cocaine to meth to heroin. And by the time I was 17, I was a full-blown IV user. I was kicked out on the streets. My mom couldn't do it no more. And I don't blame her. I see now why she had to do what she had to do. And then it was just a long cycle of addiction. Meth, heroin, it was bad. 15 years of my life. In and out of the justice system, always on the run. It was a cycle I lived for many years. I didn't even know recovery existed. I didn't even know there was a whole recovery world out there. I had no idea. And this last run, I was already on my, they were going to sentence me to prison. And they gave me a deal if I take a year probation in a year county. And I did it. First time ever I did probation in my life. And I got on the Suboxone program right away. And that I'm an advocate for Suboxone. It saved my life. And after that, ACHR, Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery, I remember going over there and they were consistent with me every week. I had an appointment and it was job development. Helping me find work, doing resumes, applying, everything in that sense. And that's what it was. It was working. So work ethic, I jumped into work. I had two girls, I got into Catholic Charities. That was a housing program that Militia went with me to their event one time as well. I did a 2-year housing program with Catholic Charities, graduated. So yeah, it was just, I struggled for so long, and to me, it's my higher power. To me, it's my God pulled me from the depths of hell, and he gave me he had a plan for me. And so, I did it. I did the Suboxone. I got a job. I finished the program. And I remember working at the hotel, because that's where I worked at, was the hotel industry. I stayed there for 2 years. And I remember telling my mom, I feel like I want to do more. I feel like I want to help my people. And my mom, old school, oh, just pray on it. Always, oh, just pray on it. And it was then, before you know it, I had my foot in the behavioral health field. I started working at MAC clinics, and, I found peer support. And Mark Garnon was the program manager then. And I got into it, and it was just, it happens so fast. And well, I don't know if it happens so fast or time just goes so fast. All of it, right? So yeah, and then my partner as well, he got out and he got on a program, and we've been together 12 years building our lives for our kids, and together as a team, we made it out of the trenches. And so that's why it's important to me in the community just to be that voice. And there's so much stigma. They already look down on us and addicts or felonies or whatever, and it's awful. So that's why it's so important to me to just do the work and help my people. So that's where I'm at with all of that. Yeah, it's been a long journey. Blessed to be here.
Wow, what an amazing first minutes of that of this plática. I don't know, everybody out there, grab a cup of coffee because it's just gonna get better. Natasha, like when you mentioned Catholic Charities, one year, actually Natasha started with OPRI way before now being a contractor. She helped take care of a big beast of an Excel spreadsheet, and she was actually Nathan's training partner. She trained Nathan on how to come into OPRI, and that was awesome. That was an awesome transition. And when you talked about women and you're, having to, getting on your Suboxone program, Natasha, I used to think in my life, because I too am a mother, right? And in my journey, I also lost custody of my son he was 9 years old. But when you mentioned Suboxone, when you talked about it, and I think to myself, I could have lost my son to alcoholism if there would have been a program, if there's a program ever or a resource ever that can help a mom raise her children, then this is the benefit that we get. A strong woman like yourself getting to share your story with the world. And I'm just looking at the chat. Yay, Natasha, what a blessing you are. You've been a blessing. You are a blessing. And I know that you spoke earlier, and you did talk about some contributing factors to your recovery. And I heard you mention quite a few important ones, but if there's anything that you left out, what's another important, factor?
Making those goals and just faith, whatever your higher power is, find it, be strong in it, and just keeping yourself busy, whatever it is, get into something, try something different. We're so used to doing what we know, right? And it takes a huge part of us to finally step out of that comfort zone and try something different. Because when you get into recovery, you're learning who you are again, and you're learning what you like, and you're a whole new person. I never thought I would be where I'm at today. And I always try to inspire my ladies, find a job, work, and then find a career path, something to motivate you. But I'm an advocate. If it's Suboxone, if it's the methadone, if it's the medical marijuana, whatever helps you in your journey, stick with it. I think, so many times, like myself, people don't know what exists out there. I see a lot of youngsters getting in their hands on the fentanyl, and a lot of young girls. And it's like, that was me when I was that age, and I didn't have nobody to tell me any better. I didn't, we come from a family where we don't really talk a lot about stuff. And so just, whatever helps you in your recovery, and just staying consistent, doing it, staying busy, staying motivated. It's hard, it's so hard. I just lost my best friend in March due to a relapse, and so it's a battle. It's a constant battle. But that's the only advice I could share on recovery, because at the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do. But if we could at least plant the seed, if you are having a rough day and need someone to talk to, if you want to stop in the office, like, no, we're here, I'm here. There's no judgment. We're peer ran. I'm a peer before, and I'm an executive director. And I tell my people that all the time. I come from the streets, I live that life, but it's possible. It's possible. There's times where you just want to grab them and shake them and do this, do it right. But we know the battle, we know the battle. It's tough out there.
Thank you for talking about stigma, man. That's real. That's still real. Very real. We, recovery is possible. We're walking proof, but the stigma doesn't go away. So we got to continuously walk that walk and be that example in New Mexico Women's Reentry Center, and the women that help you run that center and the women that you welcome, man, they, along with your cohorts in Albuquerque, and who have the same kind of like business, nonprofit like that you do, and you guys sharing the resources, that's empowering other women to do the same and start up those businesses. Natasha, I gotta tell you, you amaze me.
Absolutely. We have to work together in this community. There's no competition. It shouldn't be like that. It's not about me. It's not about anything. It's about the people we're serving. And, running the nonprofit, I do have partners with Awake and Aware, Natalie Smith, great lady, she partners with us to get our women in. Renee Chavez Maez, oh my gosh, amazing woman, so yeah, working together and just doing what we can for these people. It's huge. We have to.
Absolutely. Fred,
Well,
don't give me no time down, Fred, because I'll jump in. It's your turn.
well, I was just, watching the Facebook comments, and all I could say is people know about your work, Natasha, and so I'm going to have you share a story without naming names, of course, right? That really helped a person who was trying to make some decisions, new choices about how to turn things around. Because like your story, your pathway, you make a decision at some point to say, I'm going to give this another shot. But then that's the one time that, things kind of hold up, because that success, that one step where it was successful, it gets contagious. Then people take the next step, and then that gets good. And then another step, poco a poco, as we say, one little at a time, in one day at a time. But the point being is that someone recently probably benefited from your work, right? Because you're teaching, you're mentoring, you're coaching, you're living example. Like you said, hey, I've been there, I've been done that. But tell us something about someone who you recently helped who kind of reminds you a little bit about yourself, right? Porque los consejos, the advice, finally makes sense, right?
Yes.
Like whenever our family would say, do this, do that. Well, sometimes it felt a little too pushy, but then sometimes their good hearts, their good intentions was to give us good advice, ¿verdad? And so you must have recently given some good advice to someone, because from what I can tell, a lot of people say you do incredible work. So pick a story and tell us a little bit about that success.
Well, I try, and so I hope that I do good work and that I, touch these women in their heart and help them to choose another path and just to motivate and inspire them. I work a lot with the ladies coming out of the feds, and so, they've done real time, 15 years here, 6 years here, 10 years here. I had a lady, she was really motivated, and she was a mom. She had babies and kids, and we talked, we met, and she really wanted this. And so, because you get them all. You get the ones that want it, you get the ones that'll show up and then they'll disappear, and they ran or whatever, so I see it all. But this young lady, wow, she came and she was just inspired. She started hustling. She got a job, Subway, another job at Texas Roadhouse. She was just on it. But, because we're felons, right? Because we have fresh felony from last year, we can't get housing. We can't, it's hard. It's tough. Those are those barriers. People are out here, they're motivated, they're trying, they're working, they're trying to do this, they're trying to make sure probation and parole are good so they don't get violated for something ridiculous. And it's just, constantly. And so I remember, we got on the grind, man. We sat here and we called and we didn't know what to do. And we finally got a hold of some apartments, and I knew the lady knew me from the streets. I knew this lady from the streets, and she's like, Tasha, Tasha G, because they used to call me Tasha G. And she's like, yeah, I heard about the work you're doing and this and that. And I was like, cool. Like, I got someone look, and I guess that's what it is, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know. But we got her in and she's thriving. She moved in, she had to be out of the halfway house. And then we got an ABQ Give hooked us up. Anthony Montoya, we got furniture, we got couches, and she's just thriving. She has her kids back in her life, 4 little babies. She's a mama. She's just, because there's that point where they're discouraged. Like, how am I going to do this? I got to be out in a week. What am I going to do in a week? How can I, and they get discouraged. And that's just normal for us to get discouraged real quick, but it just, and that was one who, wow, just amazing work we did together, and we got her set up and thriving. And so that's what I try to do. It's all client-centered here at the Reentry Center. You come in, if you even need to come in and kick back and take a break, we have a couch, we have a blanket, rest your eyes, we have snacks, we have coffee upstairs. That's what I want it to be. I want these ladies to know, come here, we're all peer ran. We do everything peer support. We coach, we mentor, we provide skills. That's it. And then Tuesday night support groups. We also want them to learn who they are and find their self-esteem. And if they need to, get some counseling, we get them rolling, get them going so that they could heal from those past traumas and all the stuff they've been through so that they could start their new life and new journey. But yeah, I have so many stories. Oh my gosh. And so it's good. It's going good. The work that I do, it's really good. It's needed. It's just so needed in the community.
That's right. Right. In fact, there's Jessica Andrade who very said that in the Placticas. She says, we need that here in my area.
Ooh,
so right. So you're talking about yourself now in terms of the work you're doing in your area, but it might be you could help folks like Jessica. She's saying we have that need here. So what might you say to her about how can they get in touch with you? How can they reach out to you so they can do something in their area? Because it's like it's contagious, ¿verdad? If it works where you're doing it, what worked, and how can you help other folks like her figure out how to be able to get that kind of peer recovery support where she's at? What would you say to her? And then we'll go to Melisha, because you can tell she's got like 3 questions lined up already. So we got to get to Melisha here soon. Pero right now, what would you say to Jessica?
Well, Jessica, if you are passionate and want to open something, if you don't do it, you probably never will. So you got to always take that leap of faith. And that's one thing too, is, I feel because I opened a nonprofit reentry peer ran that I wasn't, there's sometimes the community and I'm not, but I feel like I wasn't supposed to. I don't know, I guess like people are intimidated. And that's where, no, like if I could open a business class and help all the peers to do something and build programs or food stands or something, let's do it, and so if there's something you want to do it. And, if you need a mentor or someone, you can find me. You can check out my website, nmwrc.org, and reach out to me. I am here to, again, at the end of the day, it's about our people and our community. And so, that's that stigma that there's times where it's like in the back of my head and I feel like, oh, I wasn't supposed to do it because I'm a 3-time convicted felon, and so we got to stop that too and just know, like, encourage our people, like, no, do it, like, go out and do it, whatever you're passionate about and you have your heart set on, go for it, because at the end of the day, we need more resources.
Yes, ma'am. So Natasha, Abe, one of us is asking a question. Abe Robertson, Gordon, he's asking if you utilize seeking safety curriculum for trauma with peers, and how about the SOAR advocates? And then if you could repeat your URL again, so that folks can hear. They need to hear that.
So we don't have Seeking Safety right now, but we have our own 8-week reentry curriculum. So it does have some trauma-informed stuff in there, along with like who you are, shame and guilt, job development stuff in there. So a variety of stuff in our curriculum. And then we have Tuesday night support groups. We have a new volunteer. She's a peer as well. So she's been doing her own meditations and stuff with the ladies. But yeah, and then about SOAR. So we don't have any in-house SOAR reps, but I do refer a lot for SOAR representatives.
And there is a SOAR training right now in the Oprah newsletter. You know,
oh, nice.
Yes, it's an 8-week class, and it's in there, and every time we get you know, either job descriptions or trainings around that could help, you know, the 501c3s, we put them in there, you know, so that we can take advantage of that. So when you were speaking earlier, Natasha, like you got on a roll, man. You got on a roll about what you do, like immediately, and your face just it lit up. And right under your logo of that rose is a saying that says redirecting the hustle. And when you said, hey man, we're felons, you know, from years, you know, and but you redirect the hustle in an awesome way today, you know, and we get things done, right? Because when you pick up that phone or you get on that Google and you start looking around, plus there's a lot of resources out there where you could just plug in what you're looking for, and within seconds, you know, New Mexico Leaders in Recovery is a great resource to do that also. You guys, I see it from behind, you know, the collaborations behind the scenes, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So proud of you, man. So proud of you know, New Mexico and the way that the recovery communities are coming together. And speaking of recovery communities coming together, you're hosting an event. It's almost September. Shout out to that. Tell us about it.
And the Reentry Center, guys, we're a 2-year-old organization. We're babies still. So yes, we will have our 2nd annual car show. Last year, we had our very first one. It was a great turnout. So we'll be doing our car show September 10th down here, 718 Central in Albuquerque. It'll be a Saturday morning. We'll have local vendors that, you know, are out there with their jewelry or whatever they make, earrings. And then we also will be having some other organizations out there for services, some behavioral health organizations as well. So yeah, so we could do this for the community. So families and people that are out Saturday during the markets, they could come out and get resources.
Absolutely. Oprah will be there too.
Yeah, we'll have some cars too. We'll bring out the lowriders. Stick to our culture.
That's right. That's right. Well, you know, the thing about lowriders, right? We take such great pride in them, right? Because, you know, if you think about how bright you have to be to know how to fix lowriders, how to build them, and take care of them, I tell you what, there's a skill in that that's just amazing, right? And then, like you said, we take such great pride, and this is because part of our cultura, right? You know, all of us can remember, you know, driving our uncle's 1957 Chevy, right? It's all because part of how we acculturated into a mainstream America. Yet at the same time, it's really, you know, Española gets credit for being the lowrider capital of the world, and it's the envy of places like Los Angeles, El Paso, and even Japan, by the way. I want you to know, in Tokyo, Japan, there's a following of people who in Japan who buy lowriders and also follow really the Pachuco Cholo phenomenon, right? Because it's contagious, right? Because it's really about the things that people are prideful about. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that. What are the things you take the most pride about? You know, what is it that you're most proud about that you've done, particularly in these last 2 years as part of the program you're now the administrator for. So what's your pride about? Share a little bit about that.
Well, I'm proud that I made it. I'm here. I'm proud that I'm able to serve the community. We do a lot with a little. And so I guess for myself, I'm proud that I'm here and I made it out. Somebody told me when I didn't know what the hell I was getting into. I just knew what I wanted to do one day. And when I finished school for my bachelor's in business, I had this vision, and I just, I spoke to mentors, and, I reached out, and somebody told me, Natasha, if you don't do it now, will you ever do it? And so that just stuck in the back of my head. And I went for it. I went to school for business. I got an associate's degree in business. I got my bachelor's. So I guess I'm just blessed to be on this journey. I'm just proud. I'm able to be a mom. I'm able to live life. I'm able to help my parents now and take care of them. And so, and it's all for my people, I guess, too. I'm also in the process of establishing a second chance employment agency. It's called Chances Employment Solutions. And I already have 6 employees under me that are coming out, that are at the halfway houses, that are felons, that are, so I'm building, and I'm just blessed. I always say, I should have been dead a long time ago with the crazy life I live. And so now it's just, I don't know, I've been losing so many people too in my life, all these years. It's just that I lose people, and I'm just growing and excelling. And so I have a different outlook on life, I guess, and so I just want to do good in this world before my time's up. And I just want to help my people as much as I can, because like I said, we all got to go one day, but I just want to make sure my kids are good and, help who I can. And I guess, God got me on this journey. So I'm proud. It's good. It's good.
You're a true inspiration. And let me tell you, Miss Jessica, because you have a board that backs you up. I love what Lily put. Lily put in the chat, Jessica, if you're listening, get yourself an awesome board of people who have the same vision to help you, grow. Because I'm gonna also say, and I'll be quiet after this, Fred, I got a chance to speak at a sister circle yesterday too, day before yesterday, and with women in leadership, and what an honor, and shout out to that organization too for knocking it out of the ballpark with the women from the reentry citizens, but it dawned on me when I was sharing my story, that in my story and every bits and pieces of my story, it was women, powerful women that saved me, that never gave up on me. And our abuelitas, our grandmothers, our mothers, the people that get to sleep at night tonight because they know that we're doing God's work, whatever that looks like, and every aspect of my story is that there was always women that showed up, no matter what, and they even helped me hold on to my chair at times, and read to me when I couldn't even read, helped me learn how to write a check when I couldn't write a check, and reminded me to brush my teeth in the morning and get up and go out and redirect that hustle. So I believe that, that the powerful women in our lives lift us up, Miss Jessica. So you too, like Natasha said to you, you too can be that advocate in your community. Sorry, this is pretty powerful for me too. Fred, I'm not going to speak no more. This is too cool.
And shout out to my board of directors too. I have an amazing board who they've stuck with me through the good, the bad, the ugly, and without them, the reentry center would not be where it's at today. Without them, those are the backbone to what we do here. I have them, they're doing outreach, we're building curriculums, and they're active, they're working, they're bringing in money, they're bringing in grants and funding, and oh man. So yes, shout out to my board and my team, because without them, yeah, and then we wouldn't be able to do what we do today. So just want to throw that out there.
Well, your vice president is left a note here. I got to read it real quick here to you, because Joseph Shaw put in the chat. He said, "Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Shaw. I'm vice president of the board for NMWRC." And then he goes on to say, "Thank you to all of you for having us. Natasha is amazing. The Women's Center is growing and thriving. We appreciate you for your support and also the recognition." Well, what you're experiencing is when you do good things, people notice, ¿verdad? And when we do bad things, people notice. But you know what they particularly like is the fact that you're role modeling for others that we can turn things around, ¿verdad? That, our history doesn't dictate our future. What happens is what we know, that when we make different choices, and those choices are to support others and to support ourselves and our self-care, there are things that happen, right? People see the change in attitude. People see the change in behavior. People see the effort that's being put into making amends and really trying to fix some of these things that did happen. Because in part of what happens, it's all of us. It's our whole being, ¿verdad? But I certainly appreciate what you said about, and certainly with Melissa también, about reminding that our natural support system, right? That, if you have to think about it, ¿verdad? There's a support system that we have around us. So tell us a little bit about your support system, right? Who's in that circle? Porque it's that circle of people that you turn to because there's reasons for why they're still there with you, fighting this good fight.
So my support,
taking it on one day at a time.
Yeah, that's familia, friends, good mentors, militia, and I have a small family, and so it's me, my brother, and my parents, and my kids, and my partner and his family. So my support system is all family and my close friends, and people who have stuck by my side. And I know that I could call when times get hard, because nobody's perfect. Everybody, if there's somebody who says, oh, nothing ever happens, they're full of what, because you have to, like I said, these last 4 years, I lost a lot of people, and life happens, stuff happens. And so it's important to me. I gotta reach out to my family. That I set boundaries. I don't answer my phone after 5, and I will not work on the weekends, because that is my family time, and that is where I will be, and the people I will be with, my soldiers, my brother, my partner, and those are my people who I know I could go to and call, and those are my boundaries. And I have to, because I go through a lot too, even right now, with my own family and stuff going on in my life. So that's my support system, and my close friends that have been with me and have encouraged me. Even Donald Hume. Donald Hume's one of my huge mentors. He's one of my guides, so, and Militia, of course. But yeah.
And of course, we don't want Melissa to be too quiet for too long, porque, I so appreciate, her heartfelt expression about what this is about, ¿verdad? Because we live this every day, This is not something that just happened recently or in the past. Every day we're experiencing, how we encourage others, how we encourage ourselves, how we motivate ourselves, how do we deal with challenges and barriers, because siempre están ahí, ¿verdad? They're there, but what makes it different is the way you approach it, right? Because the different choices, decisions you're making start to show that, in fact, you are striving to sure that this recovery is the right thing, because you know who's watching, right? Are your kids, right?
Oh,
You're modeling for your kids, no matter how old they are, that you know what, I have changed things because I know it's the right thing to do. And you're doing it your way, ¿verdad? Kind of like that Frank Sinatra song, decía, I did it my way, ¿verdad? In New Mexico, we say it a little bit different, ¿verdad? What we would say is, uno es el arquitecto de su propio destino. One is the architect of their destiny. And what we get to remember is that that destiny is influenced by greater powers than ourselves, by the people who support us, our support group, and particularly our children. We have to remember that our children get influenced by what we say today, because they get to hear it, but more importantly is they get to see it, ¿verdad? And Melisha, I know we have a couple more questions to go, and there are resources, right, Melisha, that it takes for people to turn to help start to deal with the real kinds of life situations, where they live, what they eat, childcare, work, all those kinds of resources. And OPRI is one of the biggest resources available today in New Mexico for peer support. And so, Melissa, maybe you can share a little bit about some of those other resources, and be able to give credit to OPRI for all the work that you do, continue to do, because I can tell you what, I think I see you guys everywhere. Because if there's anybody who's going across the state now, it's got to be OPRI, because all I could say is, ay, válgame Dios, están por donde quiera, doing the right thing and doing the good work.
Thank you, Fred, for that. But there were giants shoulders that we get to stand on. And before that, there was nothing broken, and I'm not, I'm just like, I'm grateful that there was a foundation when I came in because Mark Arnand, he just like handing the torch over, and somebody handed it to him. And when he said, and we were in a room full of folks. And when he said, anybody in here can apply to be that program manager. And because I was in fear, I was in fear of applying for a job like this. I didn't think I could do it. And we all deserve to grow and apply for jobs that are going to challenge us and get scared and walk through that fear with folks like you all. That was inspiring, but it was also, scary. And there's going to be a day too that hopefully what I've done, what we've done with OPRI and the contractors and leadership, everybody will also get passed to another program manager who's an amazing peer in the community that can like just build on that too. And that's what we walked into, and we are everywhere because, and things of, and having social media and these kind of resources has helped us reach our communities and be involved in our communities. And because if anything good that happened during COVID, we were able to expand our trainings via virtually, and also our board of directors has really been there to help us with our ethics, with Prometrics, which is a place to test digitally, so you don't have to travel to Albuquerque anymore. With CertiMe for recertification. Our pre-exposure, that's a great resource, you guys, if you're listening. Our pre-exposure link at the bottom of everybody's at OPRI's signature is over 151 agencies in the state of New Mexico that would allow our peers to do their pre-exposure hours there. And not just that, if you're kicking butt there for a week, maybe show them that you are a hireable, employable peer. That's what I get to say today. Today we're employable. And today we help break down stigma. There's just so much other stuff. Our recovery events are a good thing too. Bring a client, let them experience what recovery is that day. Let it be all about them. Show them, walk them, take them to the tables, so that they can see, that they too and their families are all invited. It's a family affair the whole month of September and moving forward. And always wear your heart here and shout it from the rooftop if you are in recovery, because it works and it's possible. OPRI will continue to have the resources, be the resource. We're trying to expand to be more workforce oriented to help our peers, not just train them, but we want to help you get a job and keep that job, and get paid what you're worth. So, that's going on. We also have this really cool app out there called Chess Health, which I put out a call out not too long ago for bilingual certified peers. If you hold our state credential, you can also be a peer that somebody else in California can talk to, yeah, or find resources and meetings. And it's a live app that's in New Mexico now, and it's on our newsletter, and it's a great resource to connect. I would need an hour for everything that's going on at OPRI, but please feel free to reach out to us, not just for training. We hope we're fulfilling your questions and your around our training program, but most importantly, our customer service. We have that 505-470-3311. Dahlia is always on the, answering phone calls and your questions. We redirect to the board when you feel like you haven't, your recertification is up to date, but you haven't gotten that, that notice. We're busy. We step up. We hope that we step up to the plate when emergencies in our communities, because they're so heartfelt, and we want to be there for you. That kind of stuff. We get to do this Placticas with different peers. We're part of the Region 6 PSAC peer support trainings. There's like 5 states there. We learn from them, and they like what we do. So we're proud to let other states know what we do in New Mexico. There's a lot. I could go on and on, but mostly it's, today has been really inspiring to me, especially to hear from what women do to lift up their communities and their familias. And that you took a leap of faith. I remember one time a sponsor told me that, Militia, let me meet you halfway, mija. I will go to the ends of the earth for you, but I need you there with me. So, and I'm like, what does that mean? She used to tell me all these crazy things, and I'm like, there's an affirmation that she made me write on my mirror that still today, my mother, when she comes, she cleans around the affirmation, and it tells me every morning, you are a precious child of God. And I have never removed it since 12 years ago that I got clean and sober, made that decision to take that walk. Our walk matters, people, and so does our journey. So I'm just honored to be here, just honored.
Well, kudos, Melisha. You inspire us every time you speak, every day that you walk your walk and walk your talk, ¿verdad? Porque, it's, we need those reminders, ¿verdad? And as Raza, we should never forget that something that's very characteristic of us is our humility, Oftentimes people mistake humility for quietness or, like not moving or doing. But the truth of it is we're doing something very important. We're listening. We're taking it in. We're trying to sort it through. We're trying to understand it. And, y aquí estamos, right? Aquí estamos con Natasha Garcia, right? So shaker and a mover, and she's clearly got her support around her, and she's got you to keep mentoring and guiding and supporting. So Natasha, what's in store? Aquí estamos, right? We're approaching Recovery Month. What's the plan for the next year? What are we going to be hearing more about the program? Because I think it's not just newsworthy. People need to be informed. They need to be educated, and they need to hear about this good work, because think about the thousands of women who are experiencing a need for the services you're describing, because you're touching X number of them, right? Absolutely. But imagine all the others that still can benefit from what you guys are doing. What's in store for us? ¿Qué va a pasar? Tell us.
So we're just going to keep, build, like I said, we're a 2-year-old nonprofit. So we're constantly building and growing. I hope, by next year we have funding so we can hire more peers. As myself, everything I do is volunteer work, and just keep growing and, offer parent classes. We want to offer financial literacy, credit repair. I want to offer all of this stuff to get women ready, to get them on a different road. So like I said, baby steps, we're climbing and building. But I think, with our great board and our team, look at us, it's only been 2 years and look at what we're doing. We're doing so much already. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hopeful. I am grateful. We've gotten so far. So I'm just going to keep going and keep climbing that ladder, stay positive, and like I said, just try to get the funding coming in and go from there.
Ahí está, ¿ves? Well, Melissa, I guess we should probably ask that big final question, ¿verdad? About, what the one thing Natasha wants to have people take away from today. So between what you've heard from the folks that are on the chat, and I can tell you, oh my God, we got to give a shout out to Ruth, to Wendy, Lily, to Abe, to AJ, who's calling in from Texas, by the way. Of course, Abe, Victoria, Ali, who joined us today, Joseph, Jessica, Michelle, Carol, and you can just tell there's a lot of folks that are on this chat. So Natasha, after we're done with today's live Facebook, go back in to Facebook and, maybe you can share some of your comments with folks in the recorded version, because it's a chance for people to meet and talk to you personally, because you can tell you got a following of folks here and there's lots in store for us. But Melissa, she should probably tell us what's the one thing she wants people to take away today, ¿verdad? So we're going to go ahead and have Natasha tell us that. And then Melissa and I will kind of make our final comments. But we want to thank folks, of course, for being here. But what's the one thing, Natasha, you want people to take away from today?
I guess one thing, is don't ever let nobody tell you can't. And just, if you're in recovery, if you're struggling, if you're battling, know there's a whole world of resources and people in recovery. But most importantly, when you make it out, do something good with your life, because life's short. And so just do something good with your life and just keep going, and don't let, you're going to get discouraged. The devil's going to try to tear you down because he wants you. It's going to, all these things are going to get thrown at you, and don't give up, and just keep going, keep doing good work, help somebody in need if you can, and just keep going. That's all.
That's right. So keep going. Well, this has been a great hour. And como dice la Melissa, yeah, I too get regrounded through our Placticas, because we have to remind ourselves that this is an everyday experience that we all go through, right? And how is it that we can help inspire to contrast that discouragement, ¿verdad? Because that's exactly how you contrast that. You bring the light into the dark rooms, ¿verdad? Because if you ever notice, you just need a little bit of light to change the complexity and what that space looks like. So it doesn't take a lot, but what it means, it just has to be authentic and genuine, and heartfelt, and from our souls, porque our souls are now healing themselves, right? Our hearts are healing themselves. And so as you move forward with the work at the center, all I can say is we'll hope to bring you back next year just to kind of hear where things are at. And because clearly, with just 2 years under your belt, you've already started to shake and move things. So ya está pasando cosas, things are happening, right? So we'll have Melissa and me just make our final comments. And Melissa, just otra vez, as always, thank you for being the co-host, because you always bring it home, ¿verdad? And so we'll have you say a few comments. I'm going to do a little special invite in just a little bit, but Melissa, go ahead and kind of start bringing us home.
Thank you, Natasha. You know how much I love you. Also, Natasha forgot to mention that she's an entrepreneur, man. That's what she is. And she's going to be speaking on that level for the Peer Coalition of Florida. And so, that's out there on our social media also, and on our newsletter and on Natasha's page. Please join that that webinar series that they do, which is really, really great. And again, just to bring it home, we are home. We have this thing, and SAMHSA, the definition of that is home, health, community, and purpose. And what I saw and I heard today was your purpose, and that's what I'm going to take from this Plática, is that you have purpose, and peers have that. Our recovery matters, and we get to experience those 4 dimensions of the definition that's over there in SAMHSA. We get to experience it up in here and in the work we do in our community. So otra vez, muchísimas gracias. I love you all, and have an amazing weekend.
Thank you so much for having me again. This was a great conversation. It was tough, but it is great work. So thank you, Militia, for getting all these peers out there, giving them an opportunity and a chance to do more, because that's what we need.
Yeah, that's right, man. We need to have that advocacy and the resources to bring people's lives to fruition in the way that recovery can make possible, ¿verdad? So that's right. So we can all support that together, ¿verdad? Which reminds me, the theme of our upcoming conference is called Juntos Podemos, Together We Can. And at our upcoming conference in September 15th and 16th, we're hosting the 2022 National Latino Behavioral Health Conference. It's scheduled for Las Vegas, Nevada. So I want you to know that if you register, you're registering to go to Nevada, not to New Mexico, porque I don't want you to be at the wrong place. Porque yo sé que, when people say Las Vegas, the first thing we think in New Mexico, oh yeah, well, that's just about an hour and a half from here. No queremos que vayas para allá. Not now. We'll do something else over there later. But I want to invite all of you who are listening today to the 2022 National Latino Behavioral Health Conference. And incidentally, we have many people that are doing workshop related to recovery. And in fact, one of our scholarship recipients, who's very much in this area of recovery, will also be there at the conference. And she's the benefactor of one of our scholarships that we provide to Latinas and Latinos who are pursuing college degrees in behavioral health. So we can continue to build the workforce in New Mexico, right? Just as the Office of Peer Recovery and Engagement is building the workforce for peer specialists, which is incredible. It's an underutilized workforce, and we want employers to be able to benefit from all that education and training, to be able to be given the opportunities for already having paid their dues and now ready to be of service. So with that, we want to say thank you to all of you for being here with us today. We have folks from California, Texas, all over New Mexico. And we want to say again, buenas tardes, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next month. Adios.